the Plan C podcast, coming at you back with another Skype Stoop sessions. Not quite sure when this is going to come out, but this is a great episode. I am joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Cameron. How are you today?
Yo, Stolo here, doing good. This was great. This was super fun, and I'm excited for people to listen to it.
Yeah, genuinely a good listen. So make sure you listen to the whole thing. We interviewed local singer/artist Tara-Bridget on Spotify. Make sure you check her out. She's got some great music. Some very nice, I call it drifting music, where you just kind of drift as you listen to it. If you're not already, make sure you are following us on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribed on YouTube, liking on YouTube, commenting on YouTube. Make sure you rate us. You can't rate on Spotify, but you can rate on Apple Podcasts, so hit us up there. Make sure you are checking out previous podcasts. We have a great lineup of sports stuff, interviews, philosophy stuff, anime conversation. Hey, took the words out of my mouth. It's all there. It's all freaking there. So if you just enjoy listening to stuff, check it out. That's all I got for right now. We're going to get into it. See you on the other side. And we are back. Today, joined by my lovely co-host, we are talking to the ever so talented artist, singer, Tara-Bridget. Tara, how are you doing today?
I'm glad to be here. It's not every day I get to do a podcast, so I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Yeah, of course. We like to talk to people who are very much, sort of local in Brooklyn, and who are really doing things in both their circles and in their career. So, I figured you were definitely a good call. Again, joined always by always. Wow, I really just messed that up. Joined as always by my lovely co-host, Cameron. Cameron, how are you as well?
Well, it's good. I'm doing pretty good. Vibing out. I haven't met Tara yet, so this is our first meeting on this podcast, which is always interesting, but it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, Cameron.
Hey, that's what Brooklyn's all about, just bringing people together.
It's true.
So, Tara, you are sort of, in my eyes at least, it seems that you're very much sort of self-made in terms of your music. You're not doing it through a studio or a studio deal or anything. So why don't you tell us sort of how you got started?
Yeah, that sounds right. I got started basically when I was 16. I picked up my first USB mic. It was cheap. I still have it. It's a Rode mic. And I recorded, a couple of things. I recorded my two larger songs, Anne Marie and Dream Boy, and also a couple of things that I posted on SoundCloud. But since then, I've kind of evolved. And I've kind of fallen in love with learning about, gear and engineering and kind of everything that goes along with what I do. So it's taking off very slowly, I guess.
I mean, hey, when last I looked at it, it was 30,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. So that's better than the podcast.
Yeah, I some people see that as a large number. Some people see that as a small number. I kind of it never really registered in my head. It's like the fact that I've put out as many projects as I have, and I still have the fraction of what I have now is kind of mind-boggling. But I'm thankful,
Yeah, no, for sure. And your music, it's Cameron and I were talking about it. It's sort of interesting because it sort of got the Lana Del Rey dreaminess, but you've also got some stuff with trap beats, or it's trap beats adjacent. How did that sort of come about?
Yeah, I've heard that before, this Lana Del Rey dreaminess and with the trap beats. I've kind of moved away from or at least trying to move away. I haven't used trap beats in a long time. That was kind of like what I was doing at the start, when I wasn't
Yeah.
really sure about like the recording process and what that was like, and kind of figuring out what my sound is now. But I feel like when I started that in 2017, that was really something that like was popular. I feel like there was like a lot of lo-fi beats coming out on SoundCloud and a lot of lo-fi artists coming out. And so, I mean, it seemed like I kind of jumped on that wave, but it didn't really last long, you know?
I got you.
For sure.
Yeah, I think what I'm more headed now into just indie pop in general. I wouldn't call myself lo-fi anymore,
Mm.
just because, you know, the more that time goes on, the more that I learn and learn about myself and what I'm actually into making.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that growth. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, growth.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, have your influences changed along with your music that you've been making more recently?
Yeah, I guess when you're like a younger teenager, you're kind of just listening to what other people are listening to, but as I've gotten older and spent more time alone and, left high school and met new people, I've been listening to, things more personal to me and personal to my taste. And I mean, that's definitely rubbed off on me. I mean, I can never really pinpoint what my music influences are because whatever they are, you can't really hear them in what I'm making now or have made in the past. But yeah, I think that it's always kind of changing, especially with what I'm listening to.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's a good answer actually. And I think it's interesting that you say, people wouldn't be able to identify your inspirations from your music, because I feel like that's then you taking something that a lot of people aren't from said influences and you just sort of peppering it in like that. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
definitely, definitely. And I mean, I can't quote myself with 100% originality. I feel like anything that's being put out has kind of been done before in some way or another. But yeah, I think I take like little pieces from like genres or like artists that kind of make no sense together. Like I'll listen to Enya, which is like this like
Oh,
artist who,
I know who Enya is.
of course, you know who Enya is. She like layers vocals 100 million times over each other, and I'm really into that. On top of like, I don't know, like hard bass lines. So that's like that's kind of I take bits and pieces from different things, I feel like.
I kind of relate to that as well, because when I was younger, I felt that's how I sort of built a personality. Like, oh, I like that mannerism that person does. Maybe I'll start doing that. Or I like the way that person says something. Maybe I'll say that like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little influence, not really like stealing.
Yeah, no, it's just, again, it's a little peppering, little peppering.
Yeah.
Um so again, you largely built this. Again, you're not in a studio
No,
deal,
no.
or you don't have executives asking you to sign contracts. So
No.
what's some of the stuff you've learned, being in this for now 4 or 5 years, and what's some advice you maybe have to emerging artists?
I mean, that's a great question because I kind of feel like I make it seem or I play pretend where like being independent, an independent artist is this and that, and it's there's downsides to I feel both having a deal with some kind of label and being independent because there's so much that comes with I don't know after the music is it's this whole other thing, you spend
Mm,
so much time making a song and coming up with visual projects and making sure the mixes sound right. And then what comes after is, promoting and social media. And it's just so much of a headache. I mean, I'm open to, I don't know who's listening to this, but I'm open to, record label things and such. But I think after a while, you kind of learn that you do slowly need to grow a team to help you out in access resources that you haven't before. But I guess the only thing I could really say to someone trying to be I don't know, independent or be an artist in general is just to, I guess, even with all the headache that comes afterwards, to just enjoy yourself, because what's it all for if you're not?
Yeah, if you're not
No,
enjoying it, fuck is the point?
Yeah.
I
And
definitely feel that.
yeah,
Like it's
I was just gonna bridge you in there, Cameron.
Yeah, because I'm a visual artist, so I'm a freelance illustrator. So there have definitely been times where on that freelance journey, like you're doing some things that you're like, oh, I'm not enjoying myself, and then it really kind of harms productivity and all that.
Right.
So yeah, I was kind of wondering, as someone that's independent, how do you keep yourself motivated without any like pressure? Do you schedule yourself, or do you have any techniques that you use?
That's another good question, because I feel like when people ask me that, they kind of expect me to be like, I have this driving force within me and I'm so passionate about music. But it's like, to be honest, it's like terribly hard to stay motivated, especially when you don't have access to, I don't know, millions of people that could be hearing your music and could be seeing your art and this and that. So I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, is I like you said, I have this small base following of people that even when I'm evolving and my music is sounding different than it did a couple years ago, they're still listening. And I guess that's kind of what keeps me going. And also just like, I don't know, this is kind of one of the only things that I know how to do and believe in so like firmly, where it's like I'll keep doing it because I don't know what else I'm gonna do. I'll just go crazy, I guess.
Yeah, and sort of that feeling where it's like, well, there is college and I could become an accountant. Like
Right.
like feasibly you could do that. But then like the thought of doing it, it's like I really don't want to fucking do that. I would just rather be happy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would rather stub my toe, honestly.
Yeah. And it's funny because I left. I was in high school for 2 years, physical high school, and then it just wasn't working out for me, and I left. And had I not done that, I wouldn't have had the idea to start recording, because I needed something to do with all this like writing and all these things that I was doing. So I try to use school now to my advantage to help me kind of master the craft, I guess, hone in on the skills.
Yeah. No, that's hey, we all have our own path, and I know damn sure that in terms of high school, I probably should have taken a year off, or just some shit like that, because damn was I depressed in high school, and damn I could have used some time off. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, you put out a project in 2021. I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
And just on the topic of changing your sound and evolving your sound, 18 again was I thought it was a cool step in that direction. But what are other things that you want to do or maybe accomplish with your music, and maybe not with your music but just personally?
Well, first of all, thank you. It was a big achievement to put that project out this year after not putting something out for a while. I think something that I'm trying to accomplish with my music this year. Hmm. I'm, well, I'm working on something right now that I feel like is my most mature form of writing. And I think that since my first two projects that went kind of big, I guess, in whatever sense of the word, made me realize that I wanted people to kind of take me seriously as a singer and a producer and as a writer. So I think that I'm just going to continue improving on that. And it's not like I have to prove myself to anybody, but it's kind of just like showing people that I'm serious and I'm not just like some kid who's like putting things out because like, I don't know, I was like raised to like do something like that. So I guess I'm just kind of on that track to keep one-upping myself.
Yeah, that sounds like some Cameron energy right there.
Yeah, actually, that makes me wonder because when I'm constantly trying to kind of like improve on myself, I sometimes the way I look at the previous artworks that I've made definitely changes, which leads me to kind of ask, like, how do you feel when you listen to your own music? Like, is there a difference between how you feel about your older tracks versus like maybe your more recent tracks?
Yeah, I I relate to what you were saying before, but um, it's funny. I feel like for a long time, I mean, not so much now, but for a long time, I would work so hard tirelessly on something, and when I finally put it out, I would be like, I don't have to listen to this anymore over and over on repeat. Um, but I mean, like there came a time where I was like, oh my God, I can't listen to Dream Boy, I can't listen to Anne Marie, and then something just kind of like switched in my brain over time that was like, what these are important, like these are important projects that I've put out, and lots of people loved them, and I made it. I should be in love with the things that I put out. So it's a slow self-love journey of loving things after I've, drilled them into my brain so hard that I'm ready to not hear it anymore.
Yeah,
No, I definitely feel that.
yeah, because as somebody who repeatedly has to listen to their own voice editing podcasts, it shit just sounds
Yes.
weird
Oh
after a
my
while.
God. I cannot even imagine. Like, I really can't imagine. I don't even want to know what my speaking voice sounds like because a lot of people are, I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people are just like, oh my God, like that is not what I thought your voice sounded like. It's like my voice is always like cracking and is deep because I'm always singing, because I'm like always singing and recording and like tearing my hair out.
No, yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, this isn't gonna work. I sound so weird. I sound so nasally. Why would you say this? Blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
hey, it always seems to work out in the end.
Yeah, I really, you have a hard job. I can't imagine listening to my speaking voice over and over all day and editing it. That's like a nightmare.
We'd be all right.
I mean, even hearing like raw vocals is like that's hard too.
I'm sure it is because you're like, oh my God, because we have this image sort of in our, or maybe not an image, but we have a sound of what we think we sound like, and
Yeah.
we're like, yeah, like I did that shit, and
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
listen to it back, and you're like, I sound like this. This is
Hmm.
what I'm doing.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, like for sure, like especially when we stream, those are one of the times where like you can't take it back. Oh my gosh, I'm like, I really wish I sounded like Vin Diesel here, but I really
Oh,
sound
for
like
sure.
Pee Wee Herman, and it's really not great. It's like, but
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
I
all a
mean,
process.
you have like, especially when you're singing, when you're singing and recording, you kind of have this idea of how you sound because you're focused on singing with the music and not like what your singing sounds like on its own. So when you play it back, you're just like, what the hell is that?
I thank the Lord that I have a mediocre at best singing voice because I know where I belong. I know that I can't sing.
You belong in the arts.
Oh God. Um so just back on your music, you know, I feel like your music is very personal to you. Is there an overarching feeling that you want your listeners to resonate with when they are listening to your music?
Um, I think, yeah, no, I actually don't think so because I know that how the song is making me feel is so completely entirely different to what the next person is thinking because they didn't make the song or they don't know like really what it's about unless I'm explaining it, outside of singing. Um, I guess that's kind of a complicated question because I don't know. I just want people to feel like comfortable and vibe out and feel sad if it's sad. I don't know. It's never
Mm.
really sad, but the things that I'm doing now, I think are a little bit, the tempo is changing just a little bit.
Yeah, there's some melancholy thrown in there.
Yes, just a little bit. I think
Yeah,
because the themes are becoming a little bit more personal to me.
yeah. And I think that when you're sort of talking about personal stuff, specifically with like feeling pain and stuff, just overall, it's so easy to draw comparisons and be like, well, what I went through was worse, so my pain is more important than yours. But I think it's really cool that you have the sort of perception of like, hey man, this shit's all relative. If you bump it, you fucking bump it. You know,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that is what it is.
yeah. And I think that if I focus too much on the feelings that people get when they listen to like, I don't know, whatever track it is of mine that they're listening to, if I focus too much on that, then I'm going to start to, make too many changes or change the way I sound
Mm.
for other people, and that's going to take me nowhere. It's going to slow me down.
No, I definitely can resonate with that, especially like if I'm making a piece, sometimes, there's always trends going on. There's always things and influences that people want you to do this or that, and you can't really, it makes it worse if that kind of gets into your creative process. But
Hmm.
on the topic of like overarching feelings, like as I've listened to your music, I've realized that you release most of your music in like maybe one or two songs. Do you have any interest in releasing like a larger project with maybe like a theme that goes across them or anything like that?
100%. I've been thinking about it, dreaming about it, aiming for it. But I mean, when you don't, like, okay, it costs a lot of like money and time to do something like that. And in my brain, it kind of works where I would need more of a team. I think I'd need a little bit more behind me to get, a couple songs out at a time. But I'm trying to, grow the base slowly before I hand them a whole big project that I would have to work a really long time on. So I think for right now, it's easier for me to work track by track rather than, paint everyone a picture when I'm still kind of figuring out really what my sound is.
Got you.
That's pretty cool. And again, I'm gonna say these words. I relate to you, because I have recently started a sports writing internship, and sort of finding my voice and my process has
Hmm.
definitely been, I don't know if I would say a challenge, but it's been a learning experience. And it's like, okay, if I want to be efficient with it, I need to do X, Y, and Z. But then it's like, oh, well, if I want to put something really good together, what am I going to do then?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you were to have a conversation with yourself from maybe let's say 1 to 2 years ago, what do you think you would tell yourself?
Oh my God, I'd be like, can you believe like what's going on now with I wouldn't I mean I when I first started um putting out music and getting like, dipping my toes into it. I didn't I just thought it was like, oh, this is so cool, like everyone's gonna hear it and finally know that I can like sing and do all these things. But I just I never really thought that I would keep going until everyone was like, "Oh my God, like do more." And then I was like, maybe I could be good at this. So, sheesh, I mean, 1 or 2 years ago, I'd still give myself the advice to stay more consistent and stay more motivated and surround yourself with good people that encourage you.
That's
Definitely,
great
definitely
advice.
important. Yeah. Yeah, the people that surround you, I found, especially, with COVID and everything, the people that surround you make the biggest fucking difference.
Yeah.
Because, if they're doing stuff, you're like, oh, well, there's sort of a FOMO there of
Yeah.
like, well, I don't want to get left behind. Let's go.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, and so when the people around you, they're sort of putzing around, there's less motivation and there's less drive to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm very lucky because I'm surrounded by a lot of ambitious people and a lot of people who are more well versed than I am in when it comes to recording or music in general. And I'm very lucky to have people that I can learn from and people that love me and love what I do and think that I shouldn't stop. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it seems like you're on the right path. Literally
Yeah, for
sounds
sure.
like you're on the right path.
Everyone keeps saying that, so, I'm just gonna keep going and do what I do.
Hey, if it works, it works, right? We're gonna keep
That's
throwing cliches back at each other, but
that's
hey,
right. If it ain't
it is
broke.
what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I really respect that your music seems to come from a really pure place, and you haven't divorced yourself from that version of yourself. I think that's super dope. And one of the things another thing I was kind of wondering was, I know like for a lot of the people around me that are artists, there's a very kind of like distinct difference between someone that's doing something for a hobby versus doing something for like a career or something that you really decide that you really want to like put all your energy into. Was there a moment in which you kind of decided that you were going to do this as a career, and did that change your mentality?
Hmm. I actually don't think I had a moment like that. I don't recall having a moment like that. I just kind of, well, everyone in my life kind of told me, like, oh, like, you gotta sing, you're gonna be a singer. And I was like, no, that's really corny. And then I got to high school and and then I, started actually recording. And I just guess I always kind of knew that it was gonna be this because this is what I don't know, passionate about, as corny as that is, but it's like, I don't know, I wasn't gonna do something that didn't fulfill me, that I didn't love and fall in love with and get so much out of. So, yeah, no, I always kind of knew. I never saw it as a hobby.
That's really cool because I know it's so easy, especially at that age, for especially people older than us, be like, "Oh, it's a phase. It's a phase. You'll go to
Yeah.
college. You'll
Yeah.
learn what you want to do." And it's
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I really
yeah,
like
I
this.
mean, exactly. I mean, you can do both. I, for a long time, was like, what? I can't go to school again. It didn't work out for me the first time. How am I going to do it at a higher level? And I'm kind of figuring out that, going to a liberal arts school, you have access to education in music. So that
Mm.
Yeah.
will come in handy and it should be worth it in the end if I follow through, I guess, if I try to get something out of it.
That sort of leads into my next question. So, you've talked about your journey in school, out of school, and stuff like that. Do you think that, that the path that you took slash you were on, do you think that that had an impact on your music?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last?
Basic. I was just gonna ask if you feel that your journey through school and schools and sort of, difficulty with it. Do you find that that has impacted your music?
Yeah, I always kind of complain to people about how hard high school was for me. But, I mean, had I not been so beaten up by my first 2 years of high school and kind of pulled myself out of it, I, may have not had the idea to start recording for real and singing for real. And
Mm.
then, on the flip side of it, I'm back in school now in college, and I've met so many ambitious people who kind of just, you know, drive me to be like, yeah, I'm ambitious too, and I want to learn. I think I realized the value kind of education since not being in a real high school for so long. I kind of really value being able to go to school and having access to teachers who are, you know, audio engineers and producers and people that can teach me real world things that I really love.
Yeah, that's another great answer. Goddamn.
I came mentally prepared to talk about school for some reason.
Hey, I mean, we appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you've been rattling these off. This has been great. But
Okay,
yeah,
good. I'm
there we
happy.
there we go. But on the topic of school, you said that you met a lot of talented people, and I've also when I went to college, I definitely was one of the things where I met a bunch of people that were doing things that I couldn't even like I wouldn't have even thought of, like I could
Right.
never have thought of,
Yeah.
and it definitely I think changed how I looked at my art as well as art in general. But it also changed on kind of like who I wanted to work with, and it led to a lot more collaborative projects than I had worked on in
Mhm.
the past when I was just kind of working on my work by myself. And I was wondering, are there any artists that you would like to collab with, or are you interested in collaborations in the future? This could be like musically,
I'm
visual, or otherwise.
Hmm, that's a great question. I'm interested and open to collaboration always, but I think that I need to kind of figure out my work ethic when it comes to music because when I work at my own pace, it's the only way I can get things done. And I tend to work really slowly. Like I open up my DMs and people are like, when's the next thing coming out? It's like, I have no idea. But going back to what you said earlier about, going to art school and being surrounded by other people, I think another thing that kind of impacts you is you get a little humbled because so many people around you are, artists and trying to be great just like you're trying to be great. So it definitely kind of puts you in your place in a way to be in an art school.
Absolutely. I definitely think that like it's like I feel like when you're doing your work by yourself, you could be almost like the most talented person maybe that you know in your middle school or maybe the most talented person even in your high school. But when you go to college, it's like everyone is like the most talented person from their high
Right.
school or middle school.
Right. Exactly. That's so true. I thought that I was the most driven person, the most driven creative person, and then I like had my first day at a liberal arts school in New York City and I was like blown away. I was like these people have so much going for them. I'm just kind of here. I like to be invisible in my school. I kind of like don't flaunt. A lot of people, I go to the new school. A lot of people kind of, flaunt this and that and their art. And it's like I try to remain kind of in the background when I
You
go to
keep it
school.
humble.
Keep it humble, but also just because, like, I don't know, even when it comes to social media, like, I deleted my Instagram just because I'm like sick of pretending. I don't want to, I'm pretending all the time that like everything's so awesome and dope and I'm doing so much with music right now. And it's like, I just don't want to pretend. I just want to take a break.
That's actually hilarious that you bring that up because I think it was 2 podcasts ago, we did a thing about perspective and Instagram and just how like the slice on Instagram that we're getting is, it's either 1% of somebody's life or just a fabrication entirely.
Yeah,
And
and no,
I,
it's
I
total
think
bullshit.
I think it's really cool that, you were like, nah, fuck that. I don't fuck with that. And you
Yeah.
sort of made the decision and took power in your own hands and did that. Um,
Definitely. Yeah, I
yeah.
think it also kind of started to impact the way that I see like my music and the way that I compare myself to other people when it comes to just putting out music and seeing everybody put so much music out at a time and it's like why can't I do that? It's just it's a waste of my time and since I've deleted it, I've been able to get so much more done, like really focus on my own shit. So I'm glad I did that.
No, I definitely feel you. I find that like social media and even somewhat just being in college, I remember like it definitely messes with the ego a lot because there's just so many people to compare yourself to, and there's so many people that are really going after almost the same goal,
Yeah.
and it can definitely be kind of overwhelming. And sometimes, it can be inspiring when you see people work towards a goal, but also sometimes it can be stifling.
Yeah.
And I find that social media doesn't, it only gives you, everyone acts as if they're all for everyone else. You know what I mean? There's no negative
Yes.
emotions on social media, and that personally is what really irks me because
Hmm.
I feel like we all have these negative emotions, and that's part of what makes our art real. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Everyone acts like they're for everyone else. But I think for now, that's so true. For now, I just want to be for myself and, get my stuff right because I don't know, everything is just so. I wish it was genuine on the internet, but I just would rather not. And then it's like, how do you have a presence in music when you don't have an amazing social media presence? I just would rather not.
uh, I I feel you on so many levels, bro. Like trying
Like
to
that's just yeah.
like I have to. There's some times where I've tried to like put out an art piece like every 2 days on Instagram and stuff like that, and I've been trying to do that. And
Hmm.
honestly, like it just tanks my work. Like after maybe like a month, my artwork is like total shit. I'm like, oh
Right.
man.
No, right, because then you're doing this like for Instagram. You're not doing it for yourself and like to get better and to like fall back in love with what you do. It's like you start to people like this is the height of what I think it is. It's like everybody just does it for the gram, like everything. Like everyone's
Yeah.
always
Oh,
doing it for the
literally.
gram. Like literally, and it makes me so it's cringe. It's like I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do everything I do and take every photo just for the gram. So goodbye Insta for a little bit.
Yeah, and we sort of Cameron and I talk about that a lot, and especially with a lot of social justice stuff. You know, people most of the time people aren't posting social justice stuff on Instagram like yes, they care, but that's like sort of the lowest level of caring,
Yeah.
of being like, "Look, I care." It's
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
well,
yeah,
what are you
definitely.
actually doing?
At the end of the day, it's like, what does an Instagram post mean? What does it really mean? What
Yeah.
does it
Literally.
really do for anyone? It's like your profile is supposed to showcase, who you are, and that goes hand in hand with, virtue signaling and all these like fake ideas that people have, to people get misconstrued of their own image. It's just it's all fake, I guess, most things.
Yeah, and it's like, do you actually care, or are you just doing this because of societal pressure?
Right. Exactly. Makes
Yeah,
no sense.
it's really easy to get kind of it's so easy to get jaded almost by this. I'm already jaded. I've been jaded
Yes.
forever. But but like with all this bullshit, it's kind of like it's so easy to just kind of like you can't really tell if anyone's genuine and because of that and there are so many people now that we have connections to it's like thousands of non-genuine connections. It's like
Yeah.
it's it's pretty insane. But also, I think as an artist, when you realize that there are so many people that can kind of come across your artwork, but not necessarily interact with it in a genuine way, does that necessarily impact how your creative process at all? Like how people might perceive your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who says otherwise, I think is a little bit bullshitting you. That's always like whether it's clouding your mind a lot or if it's just a little kind of thing in the back of your head. Because the truth is, you're making this and you're putting it out in the world. Like I have plenty of tracks demos that I've made, and I was just like, nah, they won't like this one. I'm just gonna keep it for me and listen to it like when I'm on the subway or something. But you're putting things out into the public. You have to think about it, 99% of the day when you put it out. Like do they like it? You're making sure like are they if they're streaming it, then they like it clearly. But if you're not getting the streams that you want, then you're like you get Debbie Downer on yourself.
For sure. Oh man, I wish the like button was never created
Oh yeah.
Oh, seriously.
or anything like
I
that.
yeah. I wish that like they didn't put well, I guess this doesn't make sense to say because then there would kind of be no industry at all, but if they just like didn't put the numbers
Yeah.
The numbers, especially like on like Spotify and stuff, like you said, 30,000. It's like, what does that even mean? I don't even want to know. Just, I don't want to see it right now. I don't want other people to see it. I would rather, I guess, like at the end of the day, every time you guys ask me a question, it sounds like I'm just saying I would rather not be perceived at all, which is kind of, yes, the answer.
No,
I mean,
I
there's
definitely feel
nothing
you.
wrong with that though.
No, I
Like,
like
yeah,
as an artist, I feel like that's well, I feel like there are kind of like there are different types of artists. There are some artists that are like that their identity is like very much tied to their artwork, so they kind of want to be in the spotlight along with
right.
their art. But I do think like I'm happiest like I'd be very happy if my art if no one knew that it was me. You know what I mean? It was just
Right.
they just saw my art because I feel like that's like almost the most genuine way to kind of interact with art is if you
Yeah,
don't see the
I'm
face
I'm
behind it.
I agree with that. And I'm also kind of caught in between, separating like my art from my actual self and also being too vain for that and like being like, no, like I'm so cool like in real life. Um so so yeah, it's such a hard place to be in between because I feel like maybe I would be putting out such different work if people just kind of didn't know who I was and had no perception of who I actually am.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I feel as if the persona that we kind of have to make, we're kind of like forced to make this persona, and it'd be great if we could just like kind of switch it up on a whim. Like like
Yeah.
today I feel like I want to be edgy. Today I want to feel like I want to be that, but it is hard to kind of like keep up a consistent almost online or just musical or artistic persona. I think that's definitely like something that they don't necessarily tell you in school, but it's something that is like always there.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard to do because you kind of have to feel it when you're like constantly changing personalities. You really have to feel it before you make the art. So that's a
Yeah.
struggle. People who do that are brave or maybe like psychotic
Yeah.
or both.
Probably
Yeah.
somewhere in between.
Yeah.
On a
So,
lighter note,
yeah.
I want to ask when you wake up, what's the first thing that you think about?
Oh my God. Well, hmm. The first thing that I think about, well, huh. I guess, I mean, to be literal, I wake up with an alarm, so I'm like, jump out of bed and turn it off. And then, since I don't have Instagram, I'm not like shooting right to Instagram. I'll like check my texts and like say good morning to my ladies who I love, and to my boyfriend and to literally everybody who I text every day. And then I'll see what's trending on Twitter because Twitter news is entertaining and it makes me giggle in the morning.
I Twitter news that little magnifying glass.
Yep,
You go
that
to the for
magnifying
you,
glass.
and then you go to
Yep,
trending.
the
I feel that.
magnifying glass. Wow, like they really did something with that because that is so, I giggle every day.
Yep, yep. So, we've talked a lot about, you and your inspirations. I want to know, do you have any experiences that you usually draw from when, say you're writing lyrics or you're making a beat or you're just coming up with an idea for a song?
Um, well, for producing, I think that everything I do production wise kind of just comes naturally in the moment when I decide to actually sit down and plug in the keyboard and, try to figure something out. But lately, I think I've done live performances uh, 2 or 3 times. Um, I've done them, yeah, in the past, and I think about it a lot more when I'm recording vocals and making a song. I'm kind of thinking, how can I do this live? And how
Hmm.
can I make this like one of the most amazing live performances? So I think now more than, my earlier projects, I'm thinking about that just because it matters now to me.
Oh, that's really interesting.
As I definitely did not think that you were gonna say that, but I love the direction you took that question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wanted to mix it up a little bit.
yeah, that was great. That was great. That especially kind of reminds me of like when I'm usually making work, I think that it almost takes on a bit of a different form when it's in a gallery versus when it's just like online or just, on a print. Does
Yeah.
When you're performing, do you think that your music kind of takes on a different life?
Well, I haven't performed yet with my own kind of like instrumental production. I mean, like there are beats, but there are only so many things that you can get a live sound of. I'd love to be in front of an audience and be able to, play keyboard or, do something on the bass or the guitar. So kind of forgot what the question was because I'm like, whatever. But I think that when I finally come to that point where I'm able to, which hopefully will be, within the year or next year, um, my songs will finally kind of be able to take on a life of its own where people could, hear it in real life. I'm dying to hear it live too. So that'll be exciting.
Hmm. Um, right now, out of all of your body of work, published, unpublished, stuff in the notebook, what would you say you're most proud of?
You know, 3 weeks ago, I would have said my newest project, 18 Again, was my favorite. But since then, I have a new song that, okay, I deleted Instagram a month ago and I started a song and I'm almost done with it, which is kind of like the fastest I think I've worked in
Some
my
good shit.
discography history. Yeah, exactly. So I think that this new song that I have cooking up is my favorite, like absolute favorite. I wrote it for my best friend, and I'm so excited to get it, mixed and kind of get my ducks in a row about it.
That's fucking awesome. The always, oh yeah, it's. I think like Tom Brady had a quote like that where they were like, "Oh, which one is your favorite?" And he's like, "The next one." And I don't
Yes,
know. I like
That's
that.
great.
that's so good.
No, that's I feel like if you feel like the project that you're working on is the best one, I feel like you're heading in a great direction, like personally. Like
Yeah,
usually if I'm
yeah.
in the best mental state, that's the case.
Yeah, it feels so good to finally, like have the confidence that I didn't have before in the projects that I put out just because I don't know, learning more, kind of really like deepening the connection and like getting comfortable with myself and what I'm into and where I'm going. So now that I feel so confident about it, I'm just, so ready to put things out. And I've never really felt that way before. So I'm kind of over the moon right now with myself and working
That's
Good for
hard.
you.
that's fantastic.
As
Thank you.
like as a creative, that's like some of the highest levels of shit you can get to, I imagine, just mentally.
Yeah, you have to remember though, I'm kind of like in the honeymoon phase of like I'm in the middle of like making a song that I'm really excited about. So I'm probably kind of in the honeymoon phase of all that going on. But hopefully we can just keep going, keep if it's not this song, it's like the next song that I should try to start tomorrow or should have already tried to start. So just gonna keep at it, I guess.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
definitely.
And you mentioned that you're becoming like more aware of what you like and what you're interested in. Do you have any like new interests, hobbies, or like fascinations that you've kind of developed recently?
Hmm, hobbies. Well, in the past, this is still like music related, but I've been trying to slowly pick up bass playing
Mm,
just because I struggle a bit with guitar, and I think that bass is a great start because there are less strings, and I always kind of gravitate towards bass in a song when I'm looking for music anyway.
Huh.
So there's that, and there's also hmm, no hobbies, but I'm trying to get my driver's license. That's stupid to say, but
I,
like, yeah.
hey, I start driving lessons on Thursday. You're not alone.
Oh, also, okay, good. It's good to know that because like I want to get my license so that this could be like the dopest summer ever.
I hear that. So, making music 13 months ago changed a lot to where it is now. What are just, complications or roadblocks that you had to deal with because of COVID?
Mm. I think the biggest roadblock was kind of myself and my state of mind during that time. I mean, I kind of had everything in front of me, the tools that I needed to start recording and being creative, and I tried to do that with something other, um, which I feel like kind of mentally and emotionally exhausted me. It was kind of in the peak of the shutdown in New York, which was a lot. But yeah, I can't blame it on, not being able to go out or it was myself. Like I was home, I was depressed. We were all depressed and sad. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to like lay in my bed all day and do nothing and like zombie out on my phone. So
Yep.
it took a while to get out of that, and I'm glad that it's coming back to life now because sheesh.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Thinking about that first month or two of COVID, and I mean, Cameron and I mean, I don't want to blow your spot up, Cameron, but man, did we do nothing. We just smoked pot, ordered tacos,
Yeah, that's it.
and I mean, I was working and Cameron had commissions, but beyond that, it was just like,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
right.
It's like there's nothing, there's nothing. And people don't know this, and I haven't said it before, but before the lockdown started, I had invested a lot of time into a three-song project. And I was almost done with the recording process, and then the shutdown started, and I just like something so drastically changed, and I was like, this is not that I'm not putting this out. Like, there's no way. I just came out a different person, and I was like, this is not me. This is not what I sound like. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just totally scrapped it. Like, it was just, I don't even, that wasn't it for me. So that was kind of at first really tough because I was like, how am I gonna get this project done? It's three songs. It's like that. I'm glad I did that because it wasn't good. Like, it just wasn't.
Mm,
So you have to look. I try to be optimistic.
that's hey, I
It's
optimism. Hey, you just gotta hold on to that shit.
Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
think we
all I.
all need some more optimism in our lives.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I definitely understand that though. Like I feel like when COVID first kind of like hit. Well, first of all, I was just graduating, but it felt
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, it was nuts. It was graduation was garbage. It was so bad, but
Yeah.
could have
I'm
could have been
sorry.
worse to be honest. Could have been
Oh,
way worse.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
one of the things I kind of noticed was that like before it happened, like it felt like, especially if you're in New York, the pace is so fast, so you're just constantly like kind of churning. But when COVID hit, it felt like all of a sudden everything kind of stopped and like and that like we were still walking. And it
Yeah.
was a moment that I feel like a lot of people really kind of evaluated the pace at which they were kind of working. And it also made it actually a bit harder to work because I no longer felt like I had that kind of drive that everyone was working, therefore I had to work, and it kind of made me have to find something else within myself to kind of motivate myself.
Right. And it's not even like the pace changed. It's like there was none at all. Like everything kind of came to a halt. At least in my world. I there was no other option for me. I was like, yeah, like I could make something, but what's the point? So I regret doing that. I'm sure everybody kind of regrets doing that, but what are you
For
gonna do?
definitely, yeah,
You
yeah,
can't go back. So,
yeah. What kind of helped you find your motivation?
um, seeing my friends again, that was like you know, you can only FaceTime your friends so much in the middle of a shutdown, but being able to be with my friends and, you know, sit in the park and walk around and be able to, you know, go outside and go to work. Like, who would have thought I wanted to wake up and like go to work? But I mean, these are things that, and these are just things that I needed. I need structure. I'm just one of those people that that helped me, you know, if I can do work, I can make music again. So, because I enjoy it, and being around people that make music is just, you know, the best feeling. It's the biggest driving force probably in my life.
Word.
I definitely feel that.
Cameron, do you have anything else before we move on to the Plan C special?
No, that's about it.
All right, so Tara, what or something we like to do at the end of interviews is we like to have people provide a statement of intent. Cameron came up with it. It was his brilliant idea. And basically what it is we want you to put something out there that, you know, you want to manifest. And it can be as specific as like, you know, I want to, as you said, I want to learn the bass. So you'd be like, okay, I want to learn Sunshine of My Love on Bass by the Summer type shit. Or it can be as broad as like, I want to get shit done. You know, it's completely up to you. And you can take a second. Again, any dead air, I can snip on out. But what do you feel is your statement of intent?
You know, I've been told that if you dwell on it too hard and like if you dwell on it too hard, it kind of, you know, you don't want to overcomplicate things. You kind of just want to say the first thing that comes to your head when somebody asks you something like that. And I think what I want is kind of the continuation of what I have right now, which is amazing friends, all the resources that I have, the support system that I have, which, you know, I'm so fortunate to have. A lot of people don't have that. And I guess just to stay focused and be more focused and to keep loving what I do, because if I don't, then I might as well stop. So I think that that's it. Just keep myself surrounded by amazing people and keep learning and not be so full of myself or be so hard on myself. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That
Good
was,
job.
yeah.
I think
was
that was pretty good. That one was all right, I think. That one is, I hope that one, that was pretty broad. That was, I mean, I'm asking the universe for a couple things there, but.
Hey, it doesn't matter. You're
right.
just trying to materialize.
Yeah.
All right, Cameron, before we get out of here, you got anything else?
Not really. It was great meeting you. There was just some fantastic answers. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think this was really fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you check out tara-bridget on Spotify. Make sure you stream Dream Boy, Anne Marie, Dream Boy Part 2, 18 Again, Rita. Am I missing anything?
We got 18 Again, something other, all of the above. And also keep your eye out for new things. Thank you so much, you guys, for having me. This was so fun.
Of course. Make sure y'all check out her page. Check out us on Spotify, on Instagram, on Twitter, @plan_C_podcast. Thank you, Tara, so much for being on today. I think that genuinely this was one of our best interviews. I don't, awesome. Cameron, I don't know about you, but like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I just felt like we fucking, everyone here killed it.
Awesome. A+. I love that.
So,
yay.
Again, thank y'all for listening. Make sure you check out other podcasts. Make sure you check out Tara's music. And we'll see you at the next one.
See you on the other side.